Have you ever considered that an organization itself might have, well, a mind? Not just, a collection of brilliant individuals, but something more, like a collective consciousness that thinks, makes decisions, learns, even adapts. It's a pretty profound thought, right? Goes way beyond just policies and org charts. Today, we're taking a deep dive into this fascinating idea, the organizational mind, and how it kind of weaves into collective intelligence, especially now, with AI becoming such a powerful partner in everything.
Exactly. Our mission today is really to unpack these concepts. We want to understand not just what groups do, but how they actually think and problem solve together, how they innovate as a whole. We're going to explore some, frankly, surprising ways human collaboration and AI are coming together, creating these new forms of collective intelligence that honestly might be key to tackling some really big global challenges.
Yeah, and we've gathered some genuinely compelling insights for you, pulled from research on things like generative collective intelligence, philosophical debates, and some great real-world examples from major companies. So let's start right there. What exactly do we mean by the organizational mind?
Well, what's fascinating and what our sources really highlight is that it isn't the tangible stuff. It's not the policies, the systems, the hierarchy you see on paper. It's defined as this intangible functional unit, sort of the real heart and brain of the operation. It's made up of collective emotions, shared values, those deep-seated beliefs, the culture. That's what really drives an organization forward, shaping its actions, its decisions. It fosters innovation, clarifies purpose, inspires that conviction you need.
So structure is for survival, but the mind is for success. Is that a fair way to put it?
That's a great way to put it. Structure ensures survival, like the body, but the mind, that propels success. And unfortunately, many organizations kind of fall into the trap of just focusing on structure. They become, a well-oiled machine, but maybe not a truly living, adapting, thinking entity.
That really is a shift in perspective. Seeing it less like a machine, more like an organism. And it gets even more personal, doesn't it? With this idea of the organization in the mind. This concept suggests organizations aren't just out there. They actually live inside us.
That's right. They become part of our identity, tied up with our inner emotional lives. Shapiro and Carr put it really powerfully back in '91. They said, any organization is composed of diverse fantasies and projections of its members. In this sense, all institutions exist in the mind, and it is in interaction with these in-the-mind entities that we live.
Wow. So that internal picture you have, how you think it's structured, who connects with whom, how things really get done, that actually shapes your leadership, your decisions. It's a source of intelligence itself.
Absolutely. It's the difference between just reading a map and truly knowing the terrain, right? That internal model is incredibly influential.
Okay, zooming out a bit then, from the individual to the group.
Yeah.
This connects to organizational consciousness.
Yes, exactly. Organizational consciousness, based on the research, is the organization's capacity for actual reflection. Think of it as a centering point where it can sort of think about its identity, find unity across all its parts. It's not just about doing, it's about understanding the why and the how.
And it operates at different levels.
Right, a reflective stage, sort of self-evaluation, a social stage, understanding its place in the world, and a collective stage. That's where it unifies that shared will to really succeed. It allows for that complex strategic action, its ultimate cohesion.
So if we buy into this idea, organizations having minds, even consciousness, it really changes how we should think about group problem solving, doesn't it? Which I guess brings us perfectly to collective intelligence.
Absolutely. Collective intelligence, CI, is basically the emergent intelligence of groups. It's about pooling ideas, combining different skills, sharing knowledge, all to solve problems or innovate in ways no single person could. It's that magic when intelligence isn't just top-down, but distributed and leveraged across the whole group.
And we've all heard of the wisdom of crowds, right? That amazing phenomena, where the average guess or decision of a big group is often way more accurate than even experts. Like that classic ox guessing story. Francis Galton.
Yeah, the ox weight guessing. Hundreds of people, average guess was incredibly close.
And that Stanford study backs this up, saying the crowd usually outperforms the typical individual, like around the 65th percentile.
That's what they found, on average.
Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting and maybe a bit worrying. When does this wisdom flip? When does it become, well, madness?
Ah, that's a crucial question. It really highlights the perils. Because that same Stanford study showed social influence can seriously hurt performance. In their consensus condition, where people saw what others were guessing, performance dropped.
Why? People just followed the herd.
Pretty much. They anchored to early answers even if they were wrong. It led to these vicious cycles, strong herding behavior. So it shows the wisdom of crowds effect is very context dependent. It varied a lot across different questions.
But there's a twist.
There is, at what they call the domain level, so tackling a whole set of questions on one topic, say 20 questions. The crowd consistently outperformed individuals, up around the 85th, 87th percentile,
Okay.
because even experts aren't perfect on every single question. The crowd's consistency across many questions gives it a cumulative advantage.
So wisdom isn't guaranteed. It depends on the setup, which connects to what some folks call collective stupidity. Yeah, you see this mentioned like on Reddit's philosophy forums. There are definitely times a crowd seems dumber than the individuals in it.
Sadly, yes. Think of mob actions, historical examples, situations where emotion just overrides individual reason, disastrous outcomes.
Right, but the counter-argument is important too, isn't it? That learning is part of intelligence.
Exactly. Given the chance to reflect or structured deliberation or even just delegating tasks appropriately, crowds often prove much smarter at solving complex problems. It's not about if a crowd can be stupid, it's about creating the conditions for it to be smart.
Which maybe ties into this idea of a team C factor.
Precisely. The C factor, it's a statistical measure of a team's overall intelligence. Research cited by Brookings shows it's a powerful predictor of performance, and it heavily relies on what are called shared mental models.
Meaning everyone's on the same page.
Essentially, yes. Mutually compatible expectations, understanding roles, anticipating actions, like that well-rehearsed orchestra analogy. Everyone knows their part and how it fits the whole.
And we see this working in the real world, in business.
Oh, definitely. The examples are quite compelling. Think Google's hackathons, Gmail. Google News came out of those. Collective brainstorming.
Toyota's Kaizen, right? Continuous improvement from everyone.
Absolutely. Empowering every employee led to huge quality improvements. IBM Jams brought thousands together globally to rethink digital strategy.
Zappos used it for customer satisfaction.
Yeah, they collaborated to figure out how to reduce product returns, cut them by 25%. And Danone communities, they co-developed sustainability roadmaps, water solutions, reaching millions, cutting logistics costs.
So these aren't just nice stories. Tapping into CI is a real strategic lever. Drives innovation, efficiency, impact.
Massive tangible results. It's proof of concept on a large scale.
Okay, so we've got this incredible power of CI, but also the potential for, well, collective stupidity. It makes you wonder, how can we reliably get the wisdom without the madness? And that seems to be where generative collective intelligence, GCI, comes in, offering a new framework.
Exactly. GCI is presented as a truly revolutionary answer here. It's a new framework specifically for human-AI collaboration. The aim is to amplify the distinct strength of both humans and AI, creating what they call a dynamic cognitive bridge between our kind of reasoning and AI models.
How does AI fit in? What roles does it play?
It plays dual roles, actually. First, it can be like a participant, bringing its huge computational power, its ability to see patterns in data probabilistic reasoning. But second, and maybe more importantly, it acts as a kind of collaborative orchestrator, accumulating, organizing, leveraging the collective knowledge.
And humans bring.
We bring the irreplaceable stuff. Creativity, awareness of context, that grounded wisdom, causal reasoning, making sense of things even with limited data. Like AI pioneer Judea Pearl said, "You are smarter than your data. Data do not understand causes and effects, humans do." It highlights that essential complementarity.
That really hits home, humans understanding cause and effect. But if AI is orchestrating, is there a risk it just takes over or dilutes the human part?
That's a valid concern, but GCI is built on specific, quite human-centric principles to prevent that. One is the law of comparative judgment from Thurstone back in 1927.
Okay, what's that?
It's basically a clever way to measure subjective things like preferences by comparing pairs. Is A better than B? Repeatedly. You do this in eye exams, right? Comparing lenses helps turn your subjective better into a precise prescription. GCI uses this because it mirrors how we think understanding things in relation to others.
Okay, comparison. What else?
The minimum regret principle. This is about how groups or agents make decisions to minimize the worst possible outcome. It actually drives exploration. Think of foraging bees trying out new flower patches.
They explore even if it's uncertain.
Right, because they might find something much better, minimizing the regret of missing out. So these principles ensure GCI isn't just about efficiency, it's about generating genuinely new ideas.
And how does this foster a better organizational mind specifically?
Well, by using these principles, GCI can amplify serendipity, those happy accidents of discovery. It orchestrates collaboration to highlight diverse perspectives. It can even mask identities temporarily
Why mask identities?
to create psychological safety. People feel freer to share unconventional ideas without fear of judgment. It helps prevent groupthink.
Makes sense. Getting the best ideas out there, regardless of who they came from.
Exactly. It leverages cognitive diversity. Imagine combining, say, indigenous knowledge about ecosystems with complex climate models. GCI facilitates that kind of breakthrough thinking. It promotes conceptual blending, taking ideas from totally different domains and merging them into something novel, challenging biases, building better causal models together.
That sounds powerful. But what about trust? AI can feel like a black box. How does GCI build trust?
That's absolutely critical, and GCI addresses it directly. It builds trust through transparency. Clear audit trails show how decisions were made. Attribution shows where ideas came from provenance. Explanations use those causal models we build. And it's iterative. Constant feedback loops improve the system and make it more understandable.
Which is a big contrast to some current AI where you just don't know why it gave you that answer.
Precisely. That opaqueness and weak context understanding undermines trust. GCI aims for the opposite.
So, connecting this back, thinkers like Scott Klosowski talk about AI becoming a synthetic layer of intelligence within organizations, like part of this organizational mind.
Yes, that's the idea. Not just a tool, but an integral part of how the organization thinks and operates, especially for bigger societal impact. GCI is seen as applicable to really complex challenges: climate adaptation, healthcare transformation, even improving civic participation, like understanding voter preferences more deeply in democracies.
Is there a concrete example, like the healthcare one?
Yeah, the source mentions rethinking the economic model, treating the patient as an asset class rather than an expense.
That sounds a bit cold.
It sounds stark, but the idea isn't to depersonalize. It's about using GCI's ability to handle multiple criteria and aggregate collective input to fundamentally shift investment towards long-term patient well-being and proactive care for the whole population, rather than just treating sickness reactively. It's a potentially profound shift enabled by this kind of intelligence.
Wow. Okay, so we've really covered some ground today. From the subtle idea of the organizational mind, shaped by beliefs and perceptions, to the power and pitfalls of collective intelligence, the wisdom and the madness. And finally, unpacking generative collective intelligence as this potential bridge between human ingenuity and AI's power.
And the key takeaway really is that synergistic relationship. The future isn't AI replacing us. That's just not the productive way to look at it. It's about symbiosis, each amplifying the other. AI scales CI, manages the data deluge. But CI is what keeps AI ethical, aligned with human values, focused on the common good. That guidance is crucial.
And for you listening, this isn't just academic theory, is it? These are the frameworks starting to shape how you might innovate, collaborate, solve problems in your own work, your own teams.
Which leads to a final, maybe provocative thought to leave you with. The common narrative around AI is often this race towards AGI, artificial general intelligence. More data, more power, more money equals inevitable superintelligence. But how can we shift that narrative? As we build these smarter organizations using tools like GCI, how do we ensure we're empowering human agency and collective wisdom to guide AI's development, to make sure it evolves as a social, cultural technology for the common good, not just chasing some technical endpoint? It really asks us to think about what progress truly means in this new age.